The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Wednesday after a holiday on Monday. Hope you all enjoyed your President's Day.
Yes. And one announcement today at 12 o'clock down at Veterans Memorial Park, I guess is what they're calling it now, down at the bottom of President Avenue at the Iwo Jima Memorial. They will be having a celebration of the 75th anniversary of the landing on Iwo Jima. So, just if you want to go. You'll have to leave pretty fast after watching our show, but remember, our show is more important.
Well, some people, even if they contend they don't watch it.
Exactly.
So
nobody watches our show.
Let's start at the top today. We got to remind everybody the big Democratic debate is on tonight.
9 o'clock
with Bloomberg.
Yep.
At his first debate. It's going to be interesting. I mean, as much as I normally don't like to watch these debates from either side because they don't get enough time and it's not rowdy enough for me, even though it does get a little rowdy. I like the House of Commons, as you know. But it's going to be interesting tonight when they go after Bloomberg, especially after all the things that have been revealed lately about what he said in the past.
Yep, exactly.
From all reports, and obviously I don't know the guy, but he has a very, he's kind of a curmudgeon, to say the least. He doesn't particularly like virtually anybody unless they're rich, and he thinks they're smart. He doesn't think anybody's smart, and so I don't know if he's got the personality to be a politician, because politicians have to pretend they like you even when they don't.
Exactly.
And they're really good at it, too. They'll convince you that you're really one of their best friends. It's just like there was a revelation I was watching yesterday on Bernie, the socialist, quote, millionaire socialist, which is kind of an oxymoron, that his wife, he filtered a lot of money through his wife, and even though he condemns Wall Street, his stock portfolio through his wife has a lot of Fortune 500 companies in his stock portfolio. But then again, what's new? Politicians, hypocrisy. It is almost, you can use them interchangeably.
Exactly.
Because they don't abide by any laws. They're not responsible for any laws. You look at now the new revelation about the senator that met with Iranian officials to discuss foreign policy.
Yep.
But then when Flynn did it, it was a national disgrace, even though he was an incoming Secretary of State supposedly. But now when they do it, well, I got to make sure that we're going to do policy. Well, I hate to tell you this. Aren't you the guys that said there was a separation between the legislative branch and the executive branch during the impeachment?
And what was it part of the impeachment was that there was some negotiations with the foreign power?
Yeah, by people who were supposed to negotiate
That's
with
right.
foreign power. Not people who are there to do something completely different.
Right.
But then again, there's the hypocrisy of all politics, that they're not responsible for any
And let me
law.
guess. I'm going to take a shot in the dark. But let me guess, this guy's a Democrat.
Good guess. Good guess. I don't know how you got it.
I have no idea.
You had a 33% chance. You could have been a Republican or an independent, but guess what? He was a Democrat. And again, in the news, the mother of the British son who was killed by a diplomat's wife.
Yep.
Is again on the news requesting that they extradite her back to England to stand trial, even though they supposedly made a deal that she wouldn't do any jail time. But There again, diplomatic immunity. Congress, the Senate, everybody, all the politicians have immunity.
Even in Massachusetts,
Now all the
sometimes it seems.
diplomats have immunity. All the rich people have immunity. So who's left? Hey guys, everybody who's watching this show, we're the ones that are left. So we're the ones that can get 15 years for stealing a loaf of bread when your family's starving. The rest, everybody else can kill people, do whatever they want, claim diplomatic or political immunity.
Have their taxes cut.
Have their taxes cut, which will segue into something later. But it's a travesty. It's a travesty of justice. That's not what this country was created to do. Lifetime politicians, lifetime career diplomats, this is what happens to them. They insulate themselves, and they're basically a class of nobility. They don't want the title of dukes and duchesses and kings and queens, but they truly are, because they live under a different set of rules. So now from the federal, don't forget tonight's debate. It should be interesting when they go after him. Let's see how he
Do you have your
responds.
pins?
Huh?
Do you have your pins?
Yeah, I think it might be a little fun, though, because I want to see, one thing about Bloomberg, you know, we're getting back, but it shows kind of an IQ test for the voter. This is what's wrong with America. We keep saying, why don't you vote these people out? Because apparently they are too dumb. How can a guy that never really appeared in public rise to third in the polls, never participated in a town hall or a debate or anything like that with the other candidates, strictly on television ads?
That's it.
And I saw this morning, they broke the news. He's only been in this race 4 months, and he's already broken the record, Obama's record for campaign spending. He has spent the largest amount ever spent in the history of the United States in a presidential campaign in 4 months. And he's willing to spend $100 or $200 billion to buy the vote, which is, to me, wrong. Because, look, campaign ads are ads, and you take them for that. They're ads. Obviously, they're pro-candidate. You've got to investigate the candidate. And if he hides from scrutiny all the time, you got to question it. But again, it's an indictment of the voters, not of him. I mean, he's going to try to get in. And now from the federal government down to our state, Massachusetts state representative charged with misusing campaign funds.
And guess which party he's in?
Yeah. Yeah, breaking. State Representative David Nangle, arrested this morning for allegedly using campaign funds to pay for personal expenses and other federal charges. Details to follow. Well, what the hell? Our mayor could charge stuff on a city credit card and nobody checks because it was in a different fiscal year. Ha, ha, ha. Even though that's not grounds not to investigate. That was malfeasance on a public official, misappropriation of taxpayer funds, and there is no fiscal years involved with that. It's a crime. And we didn't investigate it. So, again, politicians getting away with it on every level, from the lowest level, the city, the local level, to the state, to the feds. They just never get punished for their crimes unless they're in the opposite party that's not in power.
That's right. Well, here's the next thing. What committee is he the chair of?
Oh, I know that one too. Oh, ethics.
Ethics, yeah.
Ethics, yeah. Ethics. Well, there you go. You know,
A Democrat in charge of ethics.
well, it's kind of like, you know, and that's what he's showing. And just like the argument for Jazel was, I'm sure there were some mayors that did worse crime, so two wrongs make a right. So this guy's the head of the ethics committee.
Right.
So he's showing you, being an example of what not to do. Do as I do. Do as I say, not as I do. State. Now let's go down to the local, but before we get to the local, let's get to city level. Under new Cambridge law, undocumented immigrants won't be arrested for driving without a license. This is just, I don't know how they get a dime in federal money. It's the law that you need a license to drive. But if you're undocumented and driving without a license in Cambridge, police have been advised not to arrest you for that. It's part of a new law that passed unanimously in the city, which encourages police to summons unlicensed drivers instead of arresting them. The procedure has already been practiced for a while. But now listen to this. This is the thing that really, really chafes my butt. But city leaders said they felt compelled to officially make it a law to violate the law. In fear of what could happen to immigration laws should President Trump be reelected. You know, a proactive response in fear of a president actually enforcing immigration laws. That entire city council should be arrested, as far as I'm concerned. They should be arrested.
Aiding and abetting.
And they had the cojones to say that. They're afraid that what could happen to immigration laws. Yeah, like we could enforce them. And if an illegal kills anybody in Cambridge or rapes anybody, we should invoke Hammurabi's Code. They should be killed or raped, preferably by the entire city. So, no, but it's true. These people have a total disregard for the law. They call themselves legislators. And if that doesn't piss me off, nothing does.
People's Republic of Cambridge.
They are supposed to be legislators, lawmakers. And the laws they make violate federal law, violate the laws of our nation. And they have the audacity to say it. We're afraid that Trump might get in again and he'll start enforcing the immigration laws even more stringently. So let's give everybody a pass. But we don't care about the damage, the collateral damage we do, driving down the income of people because they'll work cheaper because they're illegal. And if they're illegal criminals, look at that ought to kill the young girl. He got acquitted because he's mentally incompetent. So here's an illegal, comes to this country, kills somebody's daughter, and he gets acquitted on the grounds. He had enough mental acuity to get to this country, didn't he?
I guess so.
So I don't know. It must have been a Democratic shrink that evaluated him, because, to be more accurate, Democrat. It's not Democratic. It's the Democrat Party. It must have been a shrink, because I had a friend of mine, a guy that I worked on a fire department. I worked with him and his son, that once gave me the greatest test for your ability to stand trial for a crime, especially murder. This is his test for legal competency to stand trial. Are you listening, CJ?
I'm listening.
Okay. He said, walk up to the guy's cell, give him a gun with one bullet in it, and tell him to shoot himself. And if he does, you know he's crazy. And you don't have to try him. But if he doesn't, he's not crazy enough to kill himself, so now you can try him, because he's competent enough to know that. And I thought that was really good. And I told him that. And
Now you have a bunch of viewers, maybe a bunch of viewers, but a bunch of people who would say, that's barbaric.
What?
That test is barbaric.
Well, it may be, but it's not as barbaric as Hammurabi's Code.
True.
It's not as see, everything is relative.
Yep.
I forgot what country. It may have been Pakistan or one of these other countries that had a pedophile that had abused 100 children, and the court imposed this penalty. He was to be hung 100 times not to death, hung, and then just before he was dead.
Oh, they were doing the yo-yo.
He was, yeah, like a yo-yo. He was hung 100 times. Then after that, for each child he molested. And then he was cut in 100 pieces, and the pieces were thrown in boiling oil. That was an actual sentence. Is it barbaric? Well, I guess it depends on your culture. But do they have a very low instance of pedophilia in that country? I would think so.
They're not Boy Scout leaders or Catholic priests, are they?
I think there's a fairly low percentage of pedophiles, active pedophiles in that country.
I would agree.
And look, I hate to tell you this, but the criminal justice system was created to apply justice, to punish criminals, not to rehabilitate them, not to be a country club, because, and I think I've said this a long time ago on the show, and ponder this. What does the prefix re mean? To do over again.
That's it.
Rehash, retread, rehabilitate. What does the word habilitate mean? It basically means to kind of socialize. How can you socialize a criminal who was never socialized in the first place? You cannot rehabilitate someone who was never habilitated in the first place. Can you?
I guess
it's
not.
actually impossible, because you're gonna redo something, retrain him in a behavior he never had in the first place. He was a criminal. So, look, everybody has their own. Hey, barbaric, but does barbarism work? Unfortunately, it does. All you have to do is look at Genghis Khan. Very effective.
Very effective.
Very effective.
Very effective.
So now that we're on that topic, but I still believe that that's a great test. And I'll tell you what, I'll say it's too barbaric. So what we'll do is we'll do the same test, but we'll stick a blank in there.
There you go.
Although a blank can kill you too.
If he holds it directly on his head.
Yeah, that movie actor that killed himself because he was playing, he thought he had a blank and it's got a wad in it. You know, so at that muzzle velocity, that close, it can actually penetrate and kill you. So we'll give him a cap gun and see if he does it. But hey, to me, it's a pretty good test. Better than some guy with his own personal agenda applying his own personal opinion on the evaluation.
Exactly.
So now we get down to the city. We got some stuff on city. Carreras alleged co-conspirator selling downtown building tied to criminal case.
I have a problem with this one. Ooh,
I wonder why.
Do I have a problem with this one?
I think we all have a problem, because what did they do, CJ? Tell us what he did.
Well, he's listing the property for $2 million, but he's being taxed at 300 and... What is it?
Wait a minute, I'll look it up here.
He bought it for $400,000 and he's being taxed at $385,900.
$385,900, yeah.
Okay, but he can sell it for $2 million. Who undervalued this property? Again, somebody who's politically connected, who's being taxed at $385,900, which is only $4,100 less than he paid for it.
Yeah.
But he can sell it for $2 million. He's got it listed for $2 million, which means it must be that valuable. How did the city miss that? They didn't miss my property, I'll tell you right now. Amazing when you're politically connected, or you're an elected official, or you're a hired department head. You don't have to pay your full taxes. You don't got to pay your full share. But God forbid you miss a tax payment and they hit you with all the interest and premiums.
You're right. But, again, is there ever any backlash from this?
No.
And accountability? Why wasn't this already known? This has come to light only after he puts his property up for sale and they do an article. Now, after what happened with Kathy Ann Viveris's property, Weren't we supposed to be doing an active investigation of all the politically connected people and everybody's evaluations? Everybody else's taxes go up. Now this guy, round it off. Let me round it. I got to do math here.
Antonio Costa.
Let's see. What was he being taxed at?
385.9.
385. We'll make it 39, right? How's that? Right? All right, 9. All right, we'll do 9. 385.9. So we'll turn that. We'll swing that around to. We can even make it a even number. We'll make it 4, right?
Which is what he paid for the property.
So how many times does 4 go into 20?
5.
5? Huh. 5, he was paying 20% of the value he's selling it for. Is that our tax rate? Do you pay 20% of your assessed value?
I guess that's
That's
how.
the assessment? The assessment is 20% what he's putting it on the market for? And granted, he may be giving him a highball figure. But even if it was half of what he's asking, it's still 40%
Right.
of what the real value is.
Right.
So, I want all our viewers to go and grab their tax bill, especially those like you and everybody else and the people who got astronomical. And that guy, I hope that guy's watching that I found in the elevator, whose taxes doubled. They went from $2,500 to over $5,000. I hope he's watching, because this is what you do. This is why you have to get them in and out of there 2 terms max, and they're out in every single office that we have, not only President of the United States, because this is crazy. And we talk about all these, how they're all intertwined like a giant maze. Didn't you flag something from the Office of Campaign Finance?
Oh, yes.
Something to do with, since we're talking about buildings, and there's an investigation as we speak, which was another, what happened to that article? I buried it under something. Wasn't there an article about
Yep,
the King
the
Philip
AG
Mill?
serves Fall River with 10 subpoenas
Yeah, there we go. It's
in the
buried.
King Philip Mill investigation.
Now, before we even get into that, didn't you uncover something about...
Yeah, I was looking over the OCPF reports because the end-of-year reports are already in and whatnot, and I found a specific state representative who received from the owner of this property now, Mr. Kafori, $1,400 in campaign contributions in 2019. But guess what?
Yeah.
That's excessive, because you can only donate $1,000 per year. And that went up because it used to be $500.
That's right. It has. And fairly recently,
Right.
too.
So you can only donate $1,000, and he's got $1,400, but there was no refund on the report. I'm sure there's going to be one now. I'm positive there's going to be one now.
See, there you go. You had to tell them.
Had to expose it.
That's it. So again, politicians taking money and people who are involved in a project. So does it they were all there cutting the ribbons and shovels and taking all the kudos for this this great development.
Especially Mr. Sylvia, because he was there pushing that project from the first day. From the first day, he was pushing that project.
Well, as Nancy Pelosi said about her investments with the IPOs when she made millions, that had nothing to do with the way I behaved on the vote. Even though if I voted it down, I was going to lose millions, and if I voted it up, I was going to make millions. So, do campaign contributions grease the wheels? Well,
of course they do.
We'll let each individual be the judge. Maybe we should pass, but they'd never pass a law like this, that if anything is happening that you have a direct interest in, even though there is a law that says that. But guess who's exempt from it?
Politicians.
The Congress.
That's right.
Nancy Pelosi did what Martha Stewart went to jail for, what that other guy that just got pardoned went to jail for.
Insider trading.
Insider trading. For you and I, it's jail time. For them, it's palatial estate time. They can live in a palatial estate and count their money, because that's the way it is in politics.
It's a shame, isn't it?
It is. And look, this King Philip Mill has always been a disaster. I'm really glad to see it down, because it was every single day that I went to work, I would think about if that thing went up when I was on duty, I was going to be there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was a tremendous hazard to that neighborhood, because I'll tell you, there are people, there are houses from where I'm sitting to where you're sitting in the control booth. I mean, those houses would have gone up like the entire block did across from Notre Dame Church.
Conflagration.
We didn't. Yeah, we wouldn't have had a snowball's chance if that thing got going.
Well,
really good.
according to some reports back when that building was up, and they were talking about what would happen if it caught fire, they said that the fire damage would go from there all the way down to Globe. I say 5 corners, because I'm not going to say 4 corners, because it's 5. But it's Globe 4 corners, and it would go down the other way almost to Plymouth Avenue.
Well, it would have depended on the wind conditions, but just the radiated heat for sure would have taken out. I'd say probably would have taken out all the way almost to South Main. That would have been a big enough barrier, hopefully without really strong winds, because the radiated heat, the convected heat would have taken that. There are pictures of all the 3-deckers across from Notre Dame going up simultaneously from flashover from the tremendous radiated heat. So I'll tell you what, going down towards South Main, we wouldn't have stopped it till it hit South Main, maybe. And going the other way, well, depending on winds, but we would have lost. I mean, look, it would have been, again, we would have been looking at 3-deckers in 20, 25. We lost 34 at Notre Dame. There was no way, absolutely no way to stop it, and because because of the conditions and the heat, that something like that, if it got going, that thing was a tremendous hazard, and it was plopped because it was built in the old days right in the middle of a residential neighborhood, because that's where they built the mills. And then they built the houses around them, because nobody that worked in the mill could afford a car, and they had to walk to work. So every mill in the city was surrounded by 3-deckers.
And that was before zoning ordinances we had.
That's right. But hey.
But interestingly enough, 10 subpoenas have been issued on this property by the Attorney General, and we're going to see how much comes out of this. Yeah. I wonder who's going to take the hit. I wonder who's going to be found in trouble.
And by the way, kudos, CJ, on your picking up on that on the OCPF reports, even before the OCPF did.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, so congratulations. Yeah, it's yeah, it's subpoenas, and more subpoenas. It makes you think about, when are we ever going to stop and have oversight?
Are you kidding me? Are you asking for something that makes sense?
The old Henry Lord School was built on a dump very close to high tension wires.
Yeah.
We questioned that when it was built.
And now it's all single-family homes, that whole area.
Yeah.
So this is what happens in Fall River. We
probably from nobody who lived in Fall River long enough to know what was in that dump.
That's right. That's right. It's amazing. It is amazing. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you on Friday. And remember, stay angry.